And we welcome you into week number 8 of the high school football season. It's time for the Fourth and Goal Show presented by National Bank Professional Door Incorporated. I'm Rick Watson. He is WFXR's Jermaine Farrell. And final third of the season, man. It's coming up very quickly. Week number 8, high school football. The good teams are still really good. Some teams are making a comeback. Some teams have faded. I guess the bad news to get out of the way first, Galax made the official announcement yesterday. They've had to forfeit the rest of their season because just a lack of healthy players. So we wish them nothing but the best. 2 years ago, they won a state championship, and now here they are dealing with what many counties have dealt with and the school systems have dealt with. So we wish them nothing but the best in their rebuild back. So,
Well, you know what's interesting? You talk about numbers, and we talked about this before, Rick. I mean, growing up back in the day when we were on those high school football fields, it was never an issue with numbers. We've never heard where a team couldn't finish the rest of their season
I
and
know, I
shut
know.
things down. But now it's happening, and it's just population, and it's one thing is population is another thing. But again, kids have different interests. A lot of kids don't probably want to play football. Used to be, remember we used to play out in the fields. We used to play on the streets. Hey, run to the Buick, cut it right.
Yeah, cut,
Yeah,
cut left, cut left.
left at the Buick, the Oldsmobile, the Pontiac, and the Chevy. But now you don't really see kids out there doing that anymore because we would live for, hey, going out in the snow and playing in football. And now there's different interests. Nothing wrong with that. But it's really comes to a point where it's like football is really having a decline, and it's a tough thing. And hopefully things will pick up. But now it's like for instance, I can't tell you how many times going to a practice field, even at the bigger schools, the numbers aren't as big as what they used to be.
Right.
I mean, we use Pulaski County for example. I mean, they had 100 kids on varsity. I remember when I played
I
them,
know, I
the
know.
whole sideline, and it wasn't. Oh, that's not our JV. No, that's varsity. Like, are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah.
So but the numbers, but things are different. But a tough deal for Galax, and hopefully they can bounce back. We've seen programs that had to cancel a season and bounce back. You look no further than the school right around in your backyard, literally Auburn.
That's right.
They
That's
bounced
right.
back and they got numbers. And again, it's a class thing. Like maybe your junior and your senior classes behind you aren't as big. So maybe the classes coming up will have bigger numbers and Galax can get back to it. But yeah, it's a tough deal when you see a program that not too far removed from a state championship, they have to shut it down.
It really is. And I know the people up there hate it, but those kids, it'll happen. They'll come back around. If it's happened to these other communities, we have a number one team in the state in Craig County who went through it for a couple of years too. So it can happen, and it will happen
Right.
for the folks in Galax. It will.
Mhm.
What stood out for you week number 8? I mean, there were some close games. Salem, they've played nothing but close games. Do they lose close games or recently anyway, or they win close games? They did that against Blacksburg, but your alma mater continues to roll. You mentioned that defense about a month and a half ago, and it just seems like it's clicking on all cylinders. I don't know who's going to beat them here in this part of the state. I mean, those guys. Is this one of the best PH teams that you think Coach Fiddler's had? How many years would you put on that?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, probably so because they're 7-0 for the first time since 2000 when they went 8-0. Now, you go back the last time they had an undefeated season, you got to go back to 1985. And that year,
Wow.
if you think about it, it's kind of similar because that year you had a governor's race in 85. In 2025, you have a governor's race. You have Patrick Henry, which they went undefeated 10-0. They lost in the state semifinals that year to TC Williams. They played all their playoff games at Salem Stadium because Victory Stadium was flooded out because of the flood of '85, which we're coming up on 40 years of that, which that was a lot of destruction. But there's something about this PHC. I mean, you look at their quarterback, Jake Painter, who's really lighting up the field, Rick. I mean, he's throwing the ball. He's doing pretty well. You have Cameron Harrison Zoom Taylor, who's playing well on offense and defense. And this team there's something about this team. I mean, PH has always had talent over the years, but there's a mentality with this team, and they're playing as hard as they can. They're not taking a bye week off or whatever, taking wrestling in the laurels.
Mm-mm.
They are really rocking the scene. And over the years, they would lose a game. You would think, how did they lose that game? But they're not doing that. And I think what really helped when they started off 3 straight road games, they won all those road games early. They beat, Southern Vance down in North Carolina. Then they beat EC Glass in Lynchburg. And then they went to Rocky Mount and won at Franklin County. And once they got that going, Rick, you kind of felt, okay, there's something cooking over there off of Grandin Road. And right now, I mean, and obviously they have games coming up. They got K-Spring coming up on Friday. And, that's a game that I'm sure they're favored to win. But again, you can't take anything lightly with any high school game. Anything can happen. And it's homecoming for them. So I know that's a kind of a distraction. We all know the distractions and the trappings that come with homecoming.
Yeah.
So we know how that is. It's like, hey, you think about the dances, or you think about the king.
Absolutely.
And every day there's a theme day and all that. And homecoming can be a distraction, but I think the way this team's playing, I don't know if that'll be an issue. So they're playing pretty well. I tell you, a team that is really rocking the scene is Craig County. You mentioned him earlier, and Jeremy Haymore is helping with the single wing, and he's been a big help for that program. Now, their single wing they're running is like the old school single wing. It's what you saw with Coach Ragsdale and all that.
Yeah.
Giles, still they run the single wing now, but it's not the same as what they ran in the past. It's still the single wing, still in the family tree of the wing.
It's different though. Yeah.
But it's a different twist to it, whereas Craig County is running the back in the day 3 yards in a cloud of dust single wing.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
And it's an offense that teams are struggling to match up against. So Craig County's looking good. And then you got your usual suspects. We shift over to the Blue Ridge. I mean, you look what Lord Balatat's doing. You look at what William Byrd's doing. I mean, getting wins and close wins. And, Northside's had two close wins. Well, not close wins, but one win. They lost by 3 scores to Glenver. Glenver's still rocking the scene. So the teams that are undefeated, and we talked about it, can you maintain it going into district play? Because some districts are not all created equal. Because you got that Blue Ridge, you have the Seminole, which is
that's right. That's right.
Which you got a matchup probably heading down the horizon. Now you look at a Heritage, they still have to play JF, they still have to play LCA, so their road near the end is going to be real hard. But it's going to be interesting to see, because one of those three, you could have a 3-way tie for that district title. You could have a 3-way tie for the Blue Ridge district title. So, and then some of the other matchups, like obviously, I mean, you have Carroll County is rocking the scene. Floyd County, how about the Buffs? The fighting
Cromer. Yes, sir.
Fighting Tim Cromers, as we call them.
Getting it done.
They're playing extremely well, and obviously, they got some tough ones coming up down the line, but this is where teams are going to make their it's getting to that part of the year, the last part, and we already got some regional rankings coming out, and we can go over those as we go over matchups. But like right now, you look at some of the regions. Like I said, Patrick Green's number 1 in their region, but guess who's sitting in the 8 hole? William Fleming Colonels.
Yeah.
And if you remember a couple of years ago, again, 1 versus 8, and Fleming has probably played Patrick Henry so far the toughest, because that was 14-2. It was a defensive game, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves if we see that playoff matchup.
I hope we do.
It'd be an interesting matchup, because remember, PH was number 1 and Fleming was number 8, and Fleming came to Gaynor Field and knocked them off. But we still have a ways to go. We get there. But right now, if the playoffs started today, you'd have that matchup in the playoffs. And then look at, Allegheny. They're rocking the scene. Now, they have a tough one this Friday against Wilson Memorial. They're 5-1. And what has helped Allegheny this year, and again, no disrespect to the Three Rivers, but when you're a Class 3 team and you're playing teams
that's right.
that are in smaller classifications, it hurts you in points. So the irony is, by them moving to the Shenandoah district, they're playing all Class 3. Most of their teams are Class 3, so that helps with points. And obviously, LCA is number 2 in Region 3C, and then Heritage is down at 4th. So that could be interesting, because, again, home field is a good, interesting thing. But Allegheny's looking good. You got, like I said, William Byrd. You got Lord Balatot. How about Magna Vista rocking the scene, undefeated? And Region
68
3
last week.
68 points,
68.
And Magna Vista, they got a tough one. They got Bassett, which Bassett had a tough loss to George Washington down there in Danville. They're looking good. So you got so many good teams, and I'm not trying to leave anybody out, because there's so many.
No. Too many to get. Yeah.
But staying undefeated and 1 loss is the key. But it just got to keep that momentum going, because you can't rest on your laurels, because nothing happens until you get to playoffs. Because you can do all this in the regular season, but you don't want to lose in the first round. So the thing is to stay sharp, stay prepared, get the scene going, because you don't want to end up 4th and goal and your season's over. No pun intended.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you look up and it's all gone after one play.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like you have a great regular season, but you lose in the first round, and that's something that coaches have to keep in mind with these players, because these players, and when everybody talks you up, everyone says, "Oh, you're good, you're good, you're good." You start drinking the Kool-Aid. What did Nick Saban say? Don't drink the poison or whatever.
Right.
We still have a ways to go. I mean, we haven't hit November yet, because that's when it really gets going. You got November, you get into December,
gets tight. Yeah.
But there's something else I wanted to bring up. You brought this up, and this is not cast in stone, but there was an agenda item on the VHSL, and there's talks about possibility of moving all the championship games to one site, which is what people have talked about before. They put bids out, and 2 locations have put a bid out. Now, again, this is preliminary talks. There's nothing is set in stone.
Sure.
Clarification from the VHSL on this is that Salem Stadium and Liberty University in Lynchburg, they're the 2 that put up bids. So you can have all 6 championship games at one site. Now, how they would do it, they would spread it over 3 days. So you'd play 2 games probably on Thursday, 2 on Friday, and 2 on Saturday.
Right.
So that would be
I like that. I like it.
That would be pretty cool if that happens, and it would help us out because we don't have that far to go anyway. But we don't travel. I mean, because the championship games are always in Lynchburg and in Salem anyway. But it would be interesting to see. I mean, you could see a state, in Salem would be a great spot for championship games. Liberty's big, so I think if you ask me what would be the perfect size, probably Salem Stadium, because you got 10,000 seats roughly there. Whereas Liberty, great facility, but if you only have say a couple of thousand, it doesn't sound like you have a lot of people there. And it's not a knock against Liberty. I don't want people to think that. It's just sometimes like Salem Stadium is just a perfect size for a football stadium. You're hosting state. I mean, they've hosted Stag Bowls there. They've hosted state championship games in Class 1, and there's something about that size of that stadium. So, but Liberty is a great facility too, and they've hosted state championship games. So it'll be interesting to see if that goes to fruition. But we'll just keep our eyes on that.
I like it a lot. I think it shows consolidate. I think everybody coming together, solidarity around the state, having everybody, like you said, in one place. I like it, man. I think it's good.
Now, if that's the case, Rick, they probably would have to, because normally state semifinals are on a Saturday. So they might have, if you're playing on Thursday, you have to move your state whoever plays on Thursday, probably those state semifinal games will be moved to Friday.
Yeah, they have to figure all that out. That's true.
Because logistically, I mean, let's face facts. Coaches, they want, especially for a championship game, you don't want a short week, because you're going to have to travel. There's a day you're probably going to have to travel. So you figure if it's on Thursday, Wednesday's out. So you probably want your state semifinal game. If you're playing on Thursday, you probably want that state semifinal game to be played on, Friday. That's if you're playing on that Thursday.
I wonder if you could do 3 and 3, like 3 on Friday.
You could.
Noon, 4 and 7, and then just do the same thing on Saturday. That way, like you're saying, Thursday would be tough. You're right. That'd be tough to plan for. Yeah,
right.
Well, they'll figure all that out.
You would have to do a noon. You probably have to do a noon, 4 and 8.
Yeah, or an 11. You could start. Yeah,
well, you could start at 11.
Yeah.
You do 11, 3 and 7. I mean, let's face facts. It's championship game. 11 o'clock. I mean, but if you ask me, I like having 3 on one day. So you'd have Class 1. You could do the even numbers. You could do the even
exactly.
Numbers.
You could split it up. Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do 1, 2, 3 on one day, 4, 5, 6 on that. You could do 1, 3, and 5 on one day. And
I like that because it keeps everybody involved at each level. You're not just eliminating. Yeah. I like that. See, we're figuring out all these things for Billy Hahn.
Well, yeah. Well, he's not there anymore. Remember?
That's true. That's right. He's gone.
He's not there.
Right. You're right.
I know. Yeah, that's your go-to guy. But,
that's my guy.
He's got his feet propped up, chilling. He's done it long enough, as he said.
That's right.
Yes,
well, let's get into Farrell's 5 here in week number 8, man. There's some good matchups. We just talked about them. Some daunting matchups for certain teams, but who you have at number 5 this week as we work our way up?
I'm gonna throw a wild card in, and then I have a tie for 5th. So it's really gonna be 7 games, but I had to do a wild card, and then there's a tie for fifth. So I'm starting out with the wild card, and that game is going to be a battle between a pair of 4-3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
George Wythe, right now they're third in the Region 1C playoff rankings. They're 4-3, taking on Auburn. They're 4-3, and they're eighth in Region 1C. So Auburn, if the playoffs were to start today, they'd be the eighth seed. George Wythe would be the third seed. Now, George Wythe, they are perfect 6-0 all time against Auburn. Last meeting was November 3rd, 2023. Of course, Auburn was didn't have a team last year. The Maroons won that one 56-7. Now, last week, George Wythe won a close one at Grayson County, and they have always played some close games down there, 28-26. Meanwhile, Auburn's kind of got off to that 4-1 start. They've lost a couple in a row.
Yeah, it's a bad loss last week. Yeah.
Lost at Northwood, a non-district game, 36-26, but they get back into the district action. And this is a big game because if Auburn could win this game, they probably move up a little bit in the rankings. George Wythe in the third spot, you're kind of comfortable. But for Auburn, this is a big game because if you're eighth, that's kind of the bubble zone. You don't want to be eighth.
Yeah.
Because you lose, another team behind you wins and the points, and so you don't want to be in that position. So that's my wild card game over at Sink Memorial Field, 7:00 Friday. That's a wild card. Then I have a tie for fifth, which I can hop into those. And these are a pair of Blue Ridge District games. And now, because you're tied for fifth, it doesn't matter what order it is. But the first game I got, and this is a good one, Stanton River, they're 3-3. They're seventh in the Region 3D playoff ratings. Taking on Lord Bottot, they're 5-1. They are second in Region 3D. Of course, this game kicks off at 7:00 over there at Cavalier Stadium. Rick, Lord Bottot leads the series 22-10. LB has won the last 7 meetings, including last year, Manita, 21-0. Stanton River, last one in the series. You got to go back to the 2017 playoffs, where they won that at home, 49-31. Now, last week, Stanton River lost at home to William Fleming, 33-14. And then Lord Bottot won at Franklin County, 26-14. So Stanton River, of course, they've lost their last 2 games after getting off to that 3-1 start. But Bottot, they got things going. So that should be a fun one over there in Daleville. And then the other code number 5 of Farrell's 5, we stay in that district. It's William Byrd. They are 5-1. They're third in Region 3D, taking on William Fleming, 3-3. They are eighth in Region 5C. Again, you're in that bubble spot. Don't want to be eighth right now. I mean, you rather be eighth but eighth is kind of a scary spot. Fleming leads his series in the Battle of the Bills. I love calling it that, the Battle of the Bills. William. Big Willie style right there. Fleming leads at 34-16-3. The Fleming won last year's meeting in Benton, 28-14. Last week, Byrd won a close one at Northside, 14-7. That was a battle. But William Fleming won at Stanton River, 33-14. The biggest thing is the winner of this game is definitely will solidify their playoff seedings. But if Byrd could win this game, you're beating a Class 5 team, so that's going to give you more points. And with Bottot at 2 and Magna Vista at 1, putting a win over a Class 5 is a feather in your cap. So this is a big game. I mean, if Byrd were to lose it, I don't think it would hurt them that much. It would hurt Fleming more than it would Byrd because just where you are, you're eighth, and you just don't want to start losing games now. So that game will take place over at Colonel Stadium and Miller Field, and that's a tie for fifth. So I jammed 3 games in there to hook it up for you. The wild card, and then
there you go.
The double 5 there, double nickels, baby.
That's all right. Sometimes the matchups are so good you just can't leave any out. All right.
Yeah, and then I'll get,
you got to get them in there.
I'll get phone calls and you'll get emails.
No, it's all right. I think people... you left us out. What about our game?
Yeah, all right, number 0-16. Where are we in it?
Right, yeah. All right, number 4 on Farrell's 5. What are we up? Number 4 now.
We're going to the south side. How about this? Magna Vista 6-0.
I knew it had to be on there. Yeah.
They're first in Region 3D. They're taking on Bassett. They're 4-3, and they're fifth in Region 3D. So they're just outside of an opportunity to host a playoff game. Now, Magna Vista leads this series, Rick, 22-19. Magna Vista has won the last 2 meetings, including last year at home, 45-0. Last week, Bassett had their 4-game winning streak snapped after being shut out by George Washington, 35-0. And GW is rolling. And then Magna Vista won at Mecklenburg. We talked about it, put a 60 spot, won 68-20. So they got a big win there. And again, if Bassett could get – and Bassett has been known – I mean, remember, they beat William Byrd earlier this year, so they can step up and do things. But they've had such a tough schedule, Rick. I mean, their two losses earlier in the year. They lost to Franklin County early in the year, and I forgot who else they lost, but the two losses. And then, obviously they won 4 in a row, and then they got hot. But now they're getting back into the meat of their schedule, another tough one. But if Bassett could win this game, that'll help move them up in the playoff ratings because they're 5th. So if you beat the top team in the rankings, that's going to help you a lot. But again, that game at Bassett Stadium down there in Bassett, 7 o'clock kickoff. It's Magna Vista taking on the Bassett Bengals, the Warriors and the Bengals.
All right. Number 3 now, as we're halfway home on Farrell's 5 for week number 8.
Okay, how about this? And I know. By the way, the games I picked, were they on your list so far? Some of those, yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping that I knew the Bassett game was going to be on there. I'm glad to see. I'll be at the Auburn game tomorrow night. I finally don't have a broadcast Friday night, so I'll be up there. So it'll be awesome.
Good stuff. You can check that out. All right. So number 3, we're going to go down to the land of the Fighting Tim Cromers. We got
Yay!
They are 4-2, and they're 6th in Region 3D, taking on Floyd County, an undefeated 6-0. They're 3rd in Region 2C. Carroll County leads this series 25-22, but Floyd, they've won the last 6 meetings, including last year at Carroll County, 31-6. Now, last time Carroll County won in the series, you have to go back to February 22nd, 2021. That's when they played spring football. That was a 20-14 win at Floyd. Last week, Carroll County was off after losing at Glenver 44-19. They're playing their 2nd of 3 straight road games. Meanwhile, Floyd County wrapped up their 4-game road swing, coming back to win at Martinsville 25-14. Floyd County trying to go 7-0 for the first time since 2008 when they got off to a 13-0 start. Carroll County has a pair of shutout wins this year, but this will be a good, and then again, key playoff game. Carroll County, you're 6th in 3D. I think when you're 6th, 7th, and 8th, again, you kind of get worried. You don't want to lose those games. For Carroll County, a win could help them move up a little bit because you're playing a Class 3 team. And they've had success. So this would be a good one down there at Beal Field. Big one down there. Floyd County at 6-0, hosting Carroll County 4-2. Big one down there Friday at 7. And I'm sure that was on your list too.
Yep, no doubt. All right, top 2 now. Here we go. Week number 8. Who's number 2 on the WFXR Farrell's 5?
And I know this game is on your list. We're going to go to Highlander Heaven, a battle of 2 teams that are in the top 4 of Region 2C. You got Radford, 4-2. They're 4th in Region 2C, taking on Glenver, a perfect 7-0. They are 1st in Region 2C. Now, last year, Radford leads this series 16-14. Glenver came down to Radford and won a big one there, 37-12. Last week, Glenver won at James River. They keep rolling on offense, 42-0 in defense. Radford won a close one at home over Patrick County, 16-7. And Glenver has won 4 games this year by shutout. In another game, they only gave up a field goal. So 5 of their 7 wins have come. They haven't even given up a touchdown. And so, and then the other game, one other game, that was against Northside, where they gave up the 7 points. And then last week, they against Carroll County gave up 19. But other than that, overall, they've only given up 29 points all year, Rick. In 7 games, you've only given up 29 points.
It's crazy.
That is good defense. Now, obviously, you're playing a Radford team, and these 2 teams, Rick, you know how it is. When Glenver and Radford plays, it's one of those hidden rivalries that really people.
It really is. It really is.
These 2, and it's funny because Radford, you almost trip up. You almost want to say Radford Highlanders, but it's the Radford Bobcats and the Glenver Highlanders. So I'm sure that's almost tripped you up when you call Radford games. You almost say the Highlanders, but it's not your Radford Highlanders. But that's going to be a fun game. And I tell you what, those 2 teams, again, I expect nothing less than a good game. And, if Glenver can win that helps them down the line. So be a fun one down there over there at a Highlander Heaven over there. Glenver 7-0, hosting Radford 4-2. That game kicks off at 7 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah, that series got kicking in the mid to late 90s. And I remember Coach Litterberg at Radford told me, this is going to be a new opponent for everybody around here. But he said this is going to end up being one of our big rivals in about 3 or 4 decades. And so far, you're exactly right. He was right, and you're right. It's shaped into that. It's been good. It's been good. All right, so number 1 now. You've already named 6 terrific games, man. So where are we going with number 1?
Okay, so number 1, I'm going to take you up to Buena Vista. How about Buena Vista? Let's go up there. Land of the Fighting Blues. I got Perry McClure. They're 4-3 now. They are 6th in Region 1C. They are hosting Craig County. They are 6-0. The Wing travels to the Rocket Land. They are 2nd in Region 1C. So again, another key regional matchup because the winner, Craig County win, they could maybe move up to that number 1 spot. That's where Giles is. They're the number 1 regional rating team. And Perry McClure, they're 6th. Now, Perry McClure leads the series 29-5. It's kind of like Luda, looking for that number 1 spot. I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I like it.
Luda. Like it. Okay, here you go. Now, Perry McClure won the last 13 meetings in this series, including last year at Newcastle, 37-6. Craig County last one in the series. You go back to October 8th. That was 2010. That was a 41-0 win in Buena Vista. Now, last week, Craig County won at Eastern Montgomery 44-6. Perry McClure lost at Narrows 28-7, so a tough one there. Craig County, Rick, they're averaging 49 points per game, including 3 shutout wins, so their defense playing well. The Rockets are 6-0 for the first time in school history, so they're getting off their best start ever in school history. But I tell you one thing, the Rockets are rolling, but go up to Williams Field. It's not the easiest place to play, and Perry McClure is always going to be strong, so should be a good one up there. Craig County visiting Perry McClure in the winter is going to help themselves in regional play. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a cool place up in Buena Vista. Broadcast several games there. It's a good vibe, an old school feel to that stadium. So yeah, it'll be a good game. That's a good top 7, man. I mean that covers it. So
did that hit all yours, or was there?
I think so. I don't see. I'm sitting there looking. I think you got about every. Yeah. Everyone.
Now, there's a couple another one that's real sneaky. I didn't put it on my list, but Alta Vista at 5-2. They're number 1 in Region 1B. Taking on Appomattox, they're 7th in Region 2C. That's always a good rivalry there, Appomattox and Alta Vista. A battle of the A's, like your report card over at Pulaski County High School. Rick, you had a bunch of A's.
Oh, yeah.
Report card. I mean, you did well there. I'll tell you another sneaky game, and this is up in Allegheny. I mean, you got Allegheny at 6-0. They are 1st in Region 3C. They host Wilson Memorial. Again, they're 6th in Region 3C, a 5-1 team. First ever meeting, of course, their new district. That's going to be a key matchup too, Rick. I think, if Allegheny can win that game, it'll help them with the playoff points. A loss there, and then LCA can move ahead. And then, of course, you have Seminole District games, the Black and Blue Bowl between JF at EC Glass. That's a fun one. So you got a lot of good games, and, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, Rick, the rest of the way with some of these teams and some of these games and some of these matchups. So, Giles, we mentioned them before. Giles, they are 1st in Region 1C. They visit Fort Chiswell. Fort Chiswell on the outside of the playoff rankings at 9th. And then, of course, we had Grayson County. Of course, they were playing at Galax. Of course, Galax wrapped up their season, but Grayson County will get a forfeit win. And it'll be interesting to see how that factors into playoffs because, obviously, it's going to be tough for them to find a game this late in the year for Grayson County. So with their playoff situation, they're going to have to divide everything by 9 because of the forfeit, which is something that is a tough deal. And then on the private school ranks, Rick, something that I could have put on my list. How about this one? Now, this comes up Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff over in the Richmond area. Norcross, 6-1. They're ranked number 1 in the Vista Division 2. Takes on a Benedictine team that's 1st in the Division 1 in Vista, 7-0. And Benedictine has a lot. They have a lot of Division 1 talent. So Norcross, again, stepping up in weight class to face another Division 1 team in Vista. So that's going to be another tough one there. But a lot of good football to see. Get out there, enjoy it. Going to be a little cool and crisp. So that's a lot of good stuff there. And
football weather, man. I love it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, everybody stay safe, enjoy the games, and when you get home, make sure you find it on WFXR. I always watch it online. I sit there on my phone, man. It's so convenient. If it's not on TV, don't panic. If there's a game on, they'll have it right there. Just charge it up on your phone. Enjoy it as you're watching something else. It's great. It's great stuff as always.
That's right. Again, we'll have it 10:30 on CW Virginia. We also have it Saturdays on CW Virginia, and then we'll have it after college football. It's going to be Nebraska and Minnesota.
Yeah. Big Ten battle.
Big Ten battle. Hey, Big Ten. So we have that. And then we stream it on WFXRTV.com, right. Facebook, and YouTube. So we got it covered. And again, speaking of having things covered, Rick, you always have it covered. And it's always a joy being here with you.
Well, it's always good to be with you, brother. Listen, have a great weekend. I know you will. Everybody stay safe. I'll see everybody in Reiner Friday night. Tonight, I'll be there. tonight, saying hi, shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever it may be.
Oh, whatever. Rick, real quick. Rick.
Yeah.
One other quick thing. There's homecoming. I know we're recording this on Thursday, but Bath County will be at Eastern Montgomery. Eastern Montgomery's having their homecoming tonight. The reason why they're playing on Thursday is because the schools will be closed on Friday, so they want to get that game in. So just want to throw that out there. We don't want to omit that either.
No, it was great. They actually played their last game up here too. Their home game they were supposed to host at Reiner. I love to see the communities helping one another because their field is not in good shape. So it's great. It's great. All right, everybody, stay safe. Enjoy Week 8. We'll see you next week. Until then, next time, it's been the Fourth and Goal Show presented by National Bank, Professional Door Incorporated. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the games.